So, I'd like to ask you about music that you don't play on. You have quoted in the past that you hate all music. Can you please explain this term, I hate all music?
Yeah, I could definitely explain that to you. Except for the music that I'm working on now, like the Darkside NYC record, or stuff I do in my house, I really can't listen to any music anymore. Like, I was a period of time where I was into hardcore, I was into punk rock, I was into grindcore. I still like that stuff. If you put it on in your car, I'll listen to it, I'll like it. If I go somewhere and I hear it, I'll like it. But I never put that stuff on myself. It's like watching the same movie 100 times. Like, I can't listen to that anymore. I know exactly what's going to happen. Grindcore, the music's going to start off and it's going to be like, go, 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 go. It's like exactly the same. It's the same formula. Like, no one does anything different. So I pretty much don't listen to anything that has any discernible melody or any kind of harmony. I've been pretty much into like super fast hardcore techno. I've been into lately a lot of power electronics and noise, into splittercore and extra tone, like really fast ripping crazy techno, and that stuff doesn't have any melody, but it's different. It's I like it because it's different. It's like I've seen all these bands before. I've seen all the hardcore. There's been a little fascination for me with straight edge, in the last couple of years, and a little bit of fascination with some of the newer hardcore bands, but it got to the point where there's no new bands. There's nothing. There's no new music. It's all exactly the same. It's like what you said before. You could just play every single song, and they all sound exactly alike. Like, why do I want to listen to that? I have 1,000 records. Like, what do I need to listen to that? So basically, 2012 for me is just no melody, no harmony, crazy, insane, ripping splitter chord noise. That's it. That's all I could listen to. Maybe a little bit. No, I can't say that because I like a little bit of old jazz. I like some Stax stuff, like the R&B stuff. I like that stuff, but I don't know that stuff that good, so that's kind of new to me. But as far as metal goes, I'm done with it. I don't like any of that stuff. Next question.
Well, that took the next three questions out.
Okay.
So, how do you consider yourself I'm wording it badly. I'll start over. How would you classify your ability to write another Darkside NYC album, given that you harbor such negativity toward the music that your band currently sits with?
Right, but that it's totally different for Darkside NYC. And the reason is because there is no formula. And we're doing things that no one else does and no one else dares to do or tries to do. And I know that a lot of stuff that I bring to the table that I tell you, you won't instantly go, no, forget that. Or it's not anything about being negative in the band. Like, that's why there's so much punk rock involved and there's so much different stuff. Like, we put in noise, we put in, power tools. I got my iPhone synthesizer in there. Like, it's just anything I could bring into the band, there's somehow we're going to use it. So I don't even think this. I don't think the same thing for the band itself. I mean, I don't hate all music. I like some music. I like old punk rock. I like Discharge. I like GBH. I like some of that stuff. It's not like I don't like it. I just don't listen to it. But once I take, one part Discharge and, one part AC/DC, and I take one part Merzbow and I take one part Dokken. I knew you'd laugh if I said that. I had to say that. Or I take one part whatever, like crazy ripping death metal, and I combine that. It's like cooking a new recipe. It's like cooking a new food. It's something that you haven't eaten before, or you haven't listened to before. It's new, so it's totally different. I
A long time ago, Darkside NYC shows would feature people moshing But that hasn't been the case in quite some time, and it seems that the band isn't really too concerned with that, although most other bands would consider shows that no one's moshing at to be a failure. Why is it different for this band?
Well, I think that the bands who are concerned with people moshing or not moshing, they're more or less one-dimensional. You know? If that's all you care about, then how diverse are you? You know what I mean? Like, we have a lot of different elements in our music, and we're not trying to record music to get you to do something. You know? I'm not saying, oh, hey, I'll write this riff, and this is the breakdown riff, and okay, this is the part where everyone moshes. There would be no point to doing that. Then I could just I could write one song and then just re-record it 10 times in a slightly different variation. There's no point in doing that, you know? Like, we're not doing it for an elicited response. We're just doing it for people to, like, trip out to and be like, wow, this is cool. Or, you know, if you get into it for the rhythm, or you get into it for the lick, or you get into it for the vocals, or, you know, maybe you like the band because of the artwork or whatever, but it's not just one thing, you know? I've never written like that. I've never thought... I mean, maybe once in a blue moon I'll think, oh, okay, we should write a part where, you know, people could groove to or...
Many years ago, you worked in a building, and in that building was the headquarters for the Source magazine.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on hip-hop from the 80s to the 90s to the 2000s? Do you have any...
What a question. Asking me about hip-hop.
Yeah.
Am I going to get enemies from people who are watching this video who are into hip-hop?
Depends on your answer.
Let's just say I'm not into hip-hop. I'm into some old hip-hop. There's certain forms of hip-hop that I like. And, of course, being where I live is Jamaica, which is kind of like a breeding ground for a lot of older hip-hop. EPMD, LL Cool J, a lot of the old stuff. I like that stuff.
EPMD's from Long Island, LL Cool J's from Farmers Boulevard. But anyway...
Farmers Boulevard is right here. It's right in Jamaica.
Oh, are we? Well, this is Springfield Gardens.
Yeah, but we're near Jamaica. We're 2 feet from Jamaica. You know what I mean? And I'm also 2 seconds from Long Island.
It's like me saying Biggie lived on my block, but that's all good.
Nah, dude.
As a guitar player,
Uh-huh.
how is it different being in a band with a sober drummer who's singing as opposed to a drunken frontman who's causing chaos?
It's like playing in a different band. It's different. I don't know. I could appreciate both aspects of the band, you know? I mean, we played a lot of shows where it was just complete chaos. You know, where even though I'm in the band, I don't know what's going to happen. Like, I have no idea if, you know, in 2 seconds my singer is going to be off the stage, like, trying to rip the cash register out of the bar. I have no idea. Or if he's going to, like, try to rip down the PA. Who knows? But that's cool. That puts the danger in the music, which is awesome. But at the same time, it's also cool to be a 3-piece and be a tight musical unit that really blows people away when they see, oh shit, that dude's drumming, but he's also singing. That's kind of cool. Like, I like a lot of 3-piece bands. You know, Rush, Motorhead, Venom, the Everly Brothers. No, those are 2 guys. But no, I like a lot of 3-piece bands. So that's why I'm into playing as a 3-piece. But it's different. You know, you can't even compare. You know, it was good with a front man, but it's also good without a front man. You know, because if anything, this is not a band that's very egotistical, so it doesn't really matter. We don't need a dude out in the front with like a million tattoos and, you know, jocking himself and flexing and being like, you know, we don't need that shit. It's stupid, you know? I mean, it's like if you want to be like every other band, okay, we'll get a singer, and, you know, he'll have tattoos, and he'll, you know, mosh around, and he'll be like, move up, yo, you know, here's the mosh part. That's freaking stupid, you know? Anyway, yeah, I like it both ways. It doesn't matter, If we have a singer, we don't have a singer, whatever. The fact is that we could play gigs and we could deliver the same exact music that we have on the record. If anything, I think when we played last time, we were better than the record because we did stuff that was kind of unique to the gig. Like all of a sudden at the end of "Bury Me in a Cinch Sack," we have this whole noise part, So I'm down on the floor and I'm like making noise with the guitar and I got my pedal board, and Rich is like shaking a Geiger counter filled with marbles and through a distortion box and through an echo, and it sounded bugged out, and Take's like doing something with his bass string and like I think it was a drumstick on his bass string. It was awesome, dude. So it's great as a 3-piece. Like, it sounds awesome. It's better than it is on the record. So I have no problem with it. I like it either way. It doesn't matter.
Rich has said on many occasions that he already has the next 3 to 4 albums already written. How accurate can this possibly be?
Oh, it's definitely accurate. First of all, he has enough lyrics for probably 10 records, I would definitely say, maybe more. I have a million licks and a million riffs, and I could definitely write stuff. I know we're definitely good for another record or two. We were talking about doing a record that's completely the opposite of what we just did, whereas we're going to record the record in one session, maybe a couple hours, do a couple of overdubs, mix the record in a day, and that's it. A couple of days, bang, it's done. That's going to be the next record. More like a punk rock record, kind of like, a little bit exploited style, a little bit Discharge style. And then maybe after that we'll do some sort of a blues record, whereas just acoustic style, maybe him singing, me playing. There's a lot of possibilities. We like a lot of different kinds of music, so, anything's possible.
We already recorded the blues.
Yeah, we did some blues on this record that we just did. We didn't work on it too much, but the basic tracks are there. So, once we polish it up a little bit, that could go on a future record, because we definitely have tracks that we haven't even touched, in addition to the 42 tracks we recorded already. So, yeah, we're good for the next record or two.
Regarding the writing process, which do you prefer? Coming into the studio with a song that you already had, or making them up on the spot, or learning a song that someone else in the band is bringing to the table, or collaborating over time?
Definitely making them up on the spot. It's way easier to write music that way than bringing in a lick. Or if I have lyrics, it's easy for me to write guitar to the lyrics. So I think those are the two best things, is writing to lyrics or spontaneously creating songs off the top of my head. I don't sit home and concentrate on writing guitar, It's kind of like guitar is more or less a tool for what I want to create. It would be like a construction worker sitting at home pounding nails into a piece of wood and saying, "Oh yeah, I did that good. Let me pound another nail into a piece of wood." It's like practicing with a hammer. Like, you don't practice with a hammer, you just use a hammer. I use my guitar as a tool, just like a construction worker uses his hammer, and I make music, and that's it. And that's the way it happens, I mean, obviously, you got to have a plan. And like when a guy goes to the work site, he brings all his tools, and he's like, "Okay, here's the plan. This is what we're going to make." It's kind of like the same thing. I go to the studio, I bring my tools, and then Rich is like, "Okay, well, we'll do like verse, chorus, riff, slow part, we'll do this." Or maybe he won't even say that, but I'll kind of get that from the drums. Like, I kind of intuitively know, I can see what he's going into, and that's the plan. So we have the plan, and I have the tools. And then I use my tools to make that creation. So that's more or less the way I do it.
In the studio, there were several things that Rich introduced that was met with great skepticism by the other members and the engineer as well. One of those things was making up songs on the spot. Another one of those things was bringing in the instrumentation. How hard was it for Rich to kind of get everyone else on his side with these new elements? with these new elements?
Oh, it was easy. Everyone was into it. I mean, when you're talking about, a band that's only 3 dudes, it's not that hard, you know what I mean? It's like Taki's into it, I'm into it, and that's all that matters, And like, the guy who engineered our record, he doesn't care. He's just hitting record, stop, whatever, And what's cool is that we kind of know what we want, so we'll record something, and then maybe Rich will be like, okay, I didn't do this one part good, so let's do it again. And we do it again. And then we do it again. Or we'll do something different, or we'll do a couple of variations. So, no, that's the easiest part of being in a band, I don't know if a lot of people could do that or really want to do that, I mean, I wish I could actually see a couple of bands recording to see what their process is, But I know that's not... I know what our process is unique, I guess. I don't know. That's just the way we do it, We'll come in, we'll have song. When we did this record, we had songs, we did it. We had new songs that we had worked on already in the studio or, in rehearsal, and we did it. And we made up a lot of stuff, I don't know. It's like an artist painting a picture, you know what I mean? Like, you paint a picture, and maybe you have an idea, you want to paint, I don't know what, some fruit, or you want to paint a house, but then you have an abstract painter who's like, I don't really know, and they start doing a little red and a little blue and some black, and then you step back and you look at it, and you're like, needs a little yellow, needs something up here, needs something here. It's kind of the same way that we write music, kind of like an abstract painting. I mean, we're not so abstract that we're completely different from, other bands, but we have our uniqueness. There's the difference in there, you know what I mean? And even if you don't know at the end of the day that we wrote the music by just making it up on the spot, okay, whatever, you know what I mean? The end product is still good. You still like it,
How do the songs that were written 20 years ago, that were part of the set list for all those years, stand up against the songs that were written in recent years?
That's a good question. It depends on where you're coming from. If you're an old fan, or if you're just hearing the band for the first time. If you're an old fan and you know the old songs, you're definitely going to say the old stuff sounds different from the new stuff. But I think if you're a new fan, I don't think you're going to be able to tell that much, Maybe that's just a bias about being someone who knows the band, who, like, okay, I like these songs, they're a specific kind of style, but then you have these other songs and they're not really the same style. That's hard to say, I can't not know the old songs at this point. So, if anything, I would love to give the record to someone who's never heard the band and ask them, all these songs, do they sound like they were all written at the same time? Do any of the songs sound different? Like, tell me about that. I'd be curious to know the reaction to that. But for me, they all sound similar. They all sound like, I don't think they all sound the same kind of style, but they all sound like Darkside NYC in their own way. And especially now that, after recording it for so long, and now there's vocals on the record, after not having vocals for, a year and a half, 2 years, now they really sound like Darkside NYC, because that's the unity among all the songs, is that the vocals are really good, and they're kind of, it's Rich singing them, we got us on backups, but it's all like the same kind of, thing on top of all this unique music, so I think that kind of brings it together a little bit, It's hard to say, you got to listen to the record, and you tell me if it sounds different or the same, I think it all sounds pretty unique, but uniform. Alright, so since we're in my basement, and we're talking about influences on Darkside NYC, I'm going to reach behind in a random milk crate, and I'm going to tell you about certain records here that are influences on Darkside NYC, and certain records that are not. Okay, this happened to be my wife's brother's record. This is not an influence on Darkside NYC, except for the fact that Billy Sheehan is on this record and he rules. But this record, if I didn't have such a respect for music, I'd break that record in half. But I have a little bit of a respect for music. This record I just listened to recently. You're gonna laugh. This record rules. I love this record. Too bad they didn't really follow this up with anything as good as that record. God. Look at this one. You're gonna like this one. Great singer. Dude, I just saw him on TV I forget what it was on, not a New Year's, like a Christmas show. Dude, he's like 80 years old. He sings so good. He's so amazing. That's a good record. Let me think. Ah, dude. Now this is a record. This is a record I didn't even know I had on vinyl, but that shows you what, dude. Industrial Strength. Look at this, dude. Mint. Brand new. I don't even know if this is open or not. This is such a good record. If you want to hear slammin', techno, gabba, hardcore, Lenny D. Now, Lenny D's not on here. Oh well. Rob G. This is something that Rich would really like, I'm sure. Kind of funny, right next to Johnny Mathis. Oh, brand new too. There you go. This is good. A lot of people hate these dudes, but a lot of people like them. This is when they're kind of questionable. Maybe they hate white people, maybe they don't. I don't know. But yeah, a little bit of black power right there. I don't know. This is all in one crate, though. Amazing. These are also records that I think I might have got this for 99 cents, or maybe less, just for the fact that I might find a good sample on it. Terrible. Hate this guy. But whatever. Some good recordings in a good studio. I think A&R studio, the Ultrasonic. Anyway, I'm pretty... Oh, here's a great record right here. This is an influence on Darkside NYC. George Harrison. Awesome record. Yeah, the record here. Here it is. And on Death Records too. Nice. I love COC. I auditioned for COC for vocals. You know that? I bet you didn't know that. I just dropped shit. Yeah, I auditioned. But I was too left-wing for them, so they didn't want me in the band. It didn't matter if I sang good or not. I don't think my hair was long enough for them. Who knows? Didn't work out. That was a long time ago. Anyway, yeah, so here we are in my basement. I'm going to reach over and pull out a random record, okay? There's a 10% chance that it's going to be metal, and there's an 80% chance it's going to be easy listening. Here we go, ready? Random, not even looking. Whoa! Boss Skaggs. That's a good record. This is a great record, dude. Have you heard this? Really good. Anyway. Oh, wait. One more thing. You're going to love this. Brand new, never even opened. eBay. Anyway. Alright. Okay. Any more questions?
No, I think that about sums it up.
Okay, take care. See you later.
Darkside NYC strikes me as one of the most patient bands in hardcore.
Patient?
Yes. It must be maddeningly frustrating to be in a band like Darkside NYC and have so many years of inactivity, recorded output. To talk about that, how does this band blah 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 blah?
Well, you know, if we were 20 years old, maybe I'd be frustrated, you know, but we all got families, we all got stuff that's going on, you know, and we got other stuff. It's not just a band, you know, and I think that's actually what makes the band better, is that, you know, we bring a lot of things into the band from outside of the band, you know, so we don't play a lot, but we play good shows, you know. We don't record a lot, but when we record, we're really intense about it. I don't think that's even a problem, you know. It would be different if, like, all of us were single and we were living, you know, in Williamsburg and we wanted to be hip and cool and play all the cool shows and everything, but that's not the way it is, you know. Like, we're just living our life and we're playing in a band. I mean, look, if we wanted to make money, we wouldn't be playing in this kind of a band, you know what I mean? So, it's not about the money, and it's not about, you know, being the coolest band around and making sure 1 million people see us. It's just we do it because it's fun, you know, because we want to do it. I don't know. It's not. I'm a patient person. I mean, it was a little bit hard dealing with the recording and waiting for the vocals to be done. That was a little bit nerve-wracking. You know, no, you know, I mean, record the music and then you're waiting and waiting and waiting but you know what the thing is? It took a long time to get the vocals down, but it was worth it because they came out really good, and all the lyrics are well thought out, and it's a lot of work was put into the lyric. A lot of work was put into the whole record. You know, I mean, there were certain parts on the record that you may not know, but I did the guitar part like 20 times to get it exactly right, because I know that I wouldn't be able to live with myself if I heard it in 2 years and I'd be like, that part, I could have done it better, or I could have done it, and it only takes a second to do it over. If you have a small part and you're playing the whole song and you mess up one part, go back and do it again. Especially with Pro Tools, like we did Pro Tools, and it's so easy to punch in. You don't hear any transitions, you know. So that's what's good. So you know, I am a patient person, but it's worth it. You know, it's worth it to be patient on a project that you know all the work you put in is gonna be worth it in the end, because it's going to come out awesome. That's why I think this record is really good, because there's a lot of work in it. You know, there's a lot of stuff in it, a lot of layers in it. You know, you got the percussion in there, and you got the noise, and you got ripping guitar. Like, I mean, each song definitely has at least 4 tracks of rhythm guitar on there, and you know, you're not going to hear it like, oh, he did so many tracks. The production is insane, because it's not like that. It's just it beats it up, and we got a part here and a part there, a different tone. It was worth it, you know. I'm patient, but it was worth it.
I'm thinking of the next question.
Okay.
I had one in my head for a second, and then it went away.
I'll have some tea. Oh, look. Fender Mustang bass pickups. Just sitting in my ashtray. I used to have a Fender Mustang bass. Blue Sparkle. I have no idea what happened to it. I must have sold it. I don't remember. But I changed the pickups to Bartolini P-bass pickups, and these are the original bass pickups from that bass. I'll bet you I could sell these on eBay for like $50, maybe more, because they're original Fender pickups. And they're just sitting in an ashtray. How about that? Here, you need some buttons from some bands? Look how many fucking buttons are in here, dude. Like, people will be just like, yo, here's my band's button, and they give me a button, you know? Dude, look at all these fucking buttons, dude. It's crazy. Earth Crisis. Bad Brains. Live at CBGB's. What the fuck is in here, dude? No Racism. Got a Theologian button in there. Damn, dude. Dr. No. Some Underdog. New York Dolls. I got every... Crazy, man. What am I going to do with this? And you know what? I got all my dad's stuff down here. Look at this. Check this out. My dad used to collect swizzle sticks. Isn't that crazy, dude? Like, what you would think, like, everyone collects something, you know? Look at this TWA India swizzle stick. Just broke it. No, but isn't that wild? Look at this. Smirnoff. I don't even drink. I got swizzle sticks. So, yeah. Anyway. Ask me a question.
So, all the work and all the effort put into the record and all that stuff, that's all fine and dandy, but what happens if the record doesn't take off? What happens if people don't support it, if people don't really buy it and it kind of just goes nowhere? What next?
I don't know. I don't know how to answer that. Like, it doesn't matter if people like it or not. I could care less if people like it or not. I know people will like it, but if they don't like it, make another record. I don't know. I'd almost be happy that people didn't like it, because then I would know that it's good. You know, it's like, it's impossible. It's like almost impossible that anyone who likes heavy music has to like this record. Because I think of it, you know, from the perspective that if I was a fan, because I mean, I like heavy music, not that I listen to it all the time, but you know, I know metal, I know grindcore, I know punk rock, whatever, you know, and I know that if I somehow like take myself out of being in the band and think about it from a fan perspective, would I like this record? I definitely would like this record. It's a good record. Everything about it has everything in it. You know what I mean? It's like saying, again, I hate to bring the food analogy into it, but you know, if you go into a restaurant and you're like, I wonder if the people out in the restaurant will like this dish I created. You know what I mean? And it's like, if the food is good, people will like it. You know what I mean? If it's only one kind of style, like if you go into an Indian restaurant, and you hate Indian food, then I guarantee you're not going to like the food there. Makes sense, right? If you like Italian food, you go to an Indian restaurant, you don't like it. But if you go just to a regular restaurant and they serve all sorts of different dishes, and the cook is a world-renowned class act cook, and he makes a great dish, and he brings it out, chances are, whoever he serves it to, with an open mind, they're going to like it. You know what I mean? If they just like eating food and they know what good food is, they're going to like it. You know, it's the same thing with music. We cook up good, heavy, hard music. If you like that kind of style, you're going to like it. I mean, if you like opera, I don't know if you're going to like it. Maybe you'll like it. I don't know. Maybe it'll be something in there that, like, you'll catch on to. You know, the vocals, oh, it's so different, but I kind of like it. If you like country music, you're probably not going to like our record. I can't say that for sure, though. Chances are you're not. But if you like heavy, chunking, hardcore, you like, vocalists that sound like, you'll love it, If you like people who mosh, if you like music, you're making me laugh. If you like music like that, you'll like it.
What about the people that listen to the new bands? The beatdown.
I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, I haven't heard a lot of new stuff lately. I was trying to get into some new hardcore in the last couple of years. I think they'll like it. You gotta have an open mind. I mean, if you're looking for stuff to mosh to, or if you're looking for stuff that has, like, drinking anthems, if you're into punk rock and you only like that, or you're into oi, or whatever, I don't know what to tell you. You know what I mean? It's like if you're a midget and you go to a big and tall man shop for clothes, you're not going to find what you're looking for. You know what I mean? It's like obvious. You know what I mean? If you like jazz, you wouldn't buy our record. But maybe if you heard it, if you haphazardly hear our record and you like jazz, you may just like the record because it's different. It's abstract. There's weird stuff in it. It depends on what audience you're... I mean, we're not even appealing to anyone. We're just putting the record out. I mean, obviously, we've been in the heavy music scene for a long time. So those kind of people are going to gravitate to our music. But it's not like we're writing it because we're trying to appeal to a certain audience. We like heavy music, so we wrote a heavy record. If all of a sudden... And this is... I guarantee you this is going to happen. Like, I've been into, like, heavy, super ripping techno hardcore, splittercore. And I guarantee you that somewhere along the line, we're going to do a Darkside track that has that in it, in some element. I've been into noise. I've been into power electronics for a long time, and this record has all of that in there, and that's what's cool about this record, is that it's everything that I like in the music. So I don't care if anyone likes it. I could care less, I mean, the worst thing would be is if, we spend all this time making the record and all this time doing it, and then we press however many records and we don't sell any, and we have like 1,000 records and we're sitting on it and no one wants it. I don't think that's going to happen. You know what I mean? And we're not stupid enough in this digital age to physically press like 1 billion copies of a record when people can go download it anyway. You know what I mean? We'll make it available for download, reasonable price. People like the band, they see us, they think we're a good band, and they'll download it and they'll like it and whatever, I mean, in this day and age, how much money are we going to make anyway off it? Does money even matter? It doesn't even matter. I mean, we'll put one copy of the record out, and someone will upload it to a torrent site, and then 100,000 motherfuckers will download it for free. But is that bad? Is that good? People are hearing our music. Who cares? Whatever. How the hell are we going to get our music to a dude in Lithuania, or Poland, or Indonesia, or like, wherever, Australia? If they download it, great. If they buy it, great. If they come to a show, even better. If they buy a t-shirt, great. It's like, it's not just one goal. The goal is to, like, for people to hear it and to like it. And whatever it takes, if it takes getting on torrent sites, if it takes iTunes, if it takes, any of the various ways of distributing the music, great, But it's not like we do it for that reason. Like, I could care less if we sell any,
I'd like to go back and ask you about the big and tall man shop.
You like that analogy, right?
When was the last time you went into a big and tall man shop looking for clothes?
If I went into a big and tall man shop, I would not find what I was looking for unless one of my friends happened to be in there, and I'd be like, "Oh, what's up?" Then I'd find, my friend in the store. But it's really about, like, going somewhere to find something that you want. You know what I mean? Like, I like heavy stuff, so I go to heavy websites. If you want to find out about new hardcore, you go to a hardcore website. You know what I mean? If you want to find out about hip-hop, you don't go to a hardcore website. The thing that works in our favor is we've been in the scene for long enough that people know the name, and we talk to people, and they know that the record's coming out. So when the record finally comes out, people pretty much know where to find it, you know, and the word will spread that it's out. Even just us doing the gig in the last couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks ago, a lot of people saw us that might never have seen us, and those people might say to some other people, "Oh man, I saw this really good band. They do this and they do this. They're three-piece. They do noise, but they do a little bit of hip-hop influence in the vocals, and they do heavy guitar, So the moral of that story is, if you're looking for clothing for short people, don't shop in a tall man's shop.
All right, talk about the old hardcore scene. Maybe that was around when you first came around as opposed to what's going on now. Why do so many people think that the old hardcore scene was that much better than what's going on today?
I think because that's an easy question to answer. The reason is because now it's easy to get music. It's easy to get information. Everything is easier than it was in the 80s, 70s, 80s, maybe even early 90s. To find out about a band, you had to get a zine, or you had to hear it from a friend. So you'd go to a show and the dude would be like, "Dude, I just got this 7-inch from that dude over there. Check this out." And he'd show it to you, and it'd be like, "Oh man!" And and you brought it home and you listened to it. And how would you find out about the band? You'd look on the record and you'd say, for more information, write to these dudes. So you get out a pen and a piece of paper, and you'd write, "Yo, I love your band. You got any T-shirts? Where you guys playing? Blah 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 blah." You put it in an envelope, put a stamp on it, walk to the post office, mail the letter. You'd wait, and then you get it back. You know what I mean? And that was the whole. That was the whole excitement about it, the fascination, because you'd wait for that answer, and you'd finally get it, and you'd be like, "Ah, damn, this band wrote to me, and they're awesome," Now it's so easy. You just email, and you get a response back. You go to MySpace, you go to Facebook, you go to wherever. Bands are everywhere. If anything, it's like bands are so everywhere that there's no challenge. That's why there's a million bands, because it's so easy to put your music out. It's so easy to advertise gigs. How many dudes do you see go out to gigs and actually are flyering? There are dudes that do it in New York, definitely. But, most of the people are promoting it, spread this everywhere on Facebook. I get that all the time. I see that all the time. Flyers and post this everywhere. You know what? If you never leave your house, that's awesome. Because then you find out about all the gigs, and you go to a gig, you select out of 10 gigs. Well, I just got 10 flyers. I'll go to this one. Because this is the one that all my friends are going to. How hard is that? You know what I mean? That whole challenge was you had to find the gig, and you had to get information about it, and you had to mail a letter, and then you got it back in the mail, and it was a record, and you put it on your turntable or your cassette. Dude, that was it. You know what I mean? Dude. 8-track, man. But anyway, no, seriously. You know what I mean? It's about being on tape. It's about being on record, records, man. What's this? Look, I mailed away for this. Oh, shit. Anyway, I'm off on a tangent now. But the point is that it's not like it was in the 80s. Now everything's so easy.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
That was a good answer.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to ask the same question. You're going to answer that question.
Okay.
Why was the scene better back in the day than now? That was acquiring music.
Well, that was a scene, though.
Talking about the scene, the shows, the people. Go.
Why was the scene better back then? I can't answer that question too well. The scene, to me, I was never a dude that was in any kind of scene. I just went to the shows. I knew there was a hardcore show, and I went. And I was the dude. I didn't mosh a lot. I hardly moshed, if any, ever. Because I was there. I'm a musician. I'm not really into hardcore for like the hate or the fury of it. I mean, I kind of like it for that reason, but I was approaching it more from a musical standpoint, where I want to see these guys play, you know. And actually, in a way, it was kind of disappointing to me, because a lot of the bands, they weren't really good musicians, you know. They had good songs and they were heavy, and everyone, you know, moshed to when they got that beat, but these guys were not good guitar players. And the funny thing is that in the 80s, I was into metal, you know, and so when I first started getting into hardcore, like, before I even got into hardcore, I didn't understand it. Like, I didn't understand how primitive it was, and, you know, okay, these guys suck on guitar, but that's not the point. Like, the point is not to be a good guitar player. The point is to, like, have that energy and that power, and that's what was the point. It wasn't, like, the production value. Like, some of the old 7-inches, they sound like they were recording in a toilet bowl. They're like horrible, like the worst recording, you know? And this is before Don Fury and before all of the, you know, it started getting a little bit better. Some of these bands were fucking terrible, but they had that energy, and people went to the shows, and they, you know, they danced and they moved, and it wasn't like, you know, here's the mosh part, mosh. Everyone was just doing their thing, and like if it came to that rhythmic part, they dance, you know, but that was what I didn't understand. And as I started getting into hardcore, I started like latching on to that. You know, it wasn't about, that's why the scene I think was good. You know, when you say scene though, I don't even know how to quite, for me anyway, describe the scene. Like, I was never one to hang out, or I could give a shit about that. I just came from, you know, my house, and I went to the shows, and I saw the bands, and I checked them out musically, and some bands were good, and some bands were shittier, you know. That's kind of, at the time, it didn't matter if you were a good guitar player or not. It didn't matter how much money you spent in the studio, how much money you spent on advertising. Everything was word of mouth, and you'd give out flyers, and you'd make demo tapes, and it was all like in the street, you know what I mean? It wasn't really like, and at the time, it wasn't a national thing either. You know, now you have like, you know, the all these festivals, like all these hardcore festivals that are happening in like New Hampshire and Boston, and, you know, which is great, you know, it's spreading it out. But at the time, that, you know, if you said that to someone, you know, we're going to have a festival and there's going to be like, you know, 5,000 kids watching hardcore bands play, I bet you anyone in the 80s would have been like, now you're bugging out, you're dreaming, dude, that'll never happen. But it's happening, you know, it's popular, but it's not the same thing as it was, you know, everything's now is so easy, you know. I mean, that's not taking anything away from the bands now, but it's different. It's a different thing, you know? And I'll tell you something, and I'm not saying this, I'm just saying this coincidentally, and I pulled out an Iceman record, and I remember that they were one of the few bands that they were great musicians. They were a good band, and they weren't like a big band, you know what I mean? As a matter of fact, they hardly ever played. But I remember when I saw them, I was like, man, dude, these guys are good. These guys are good musicians. They're not just, you know, hardcore band. They're good musicians. The drummer, it was fucking great, obviously Mackie, but, you know, that was a good band. And I mean, that isn't even the roots of hardcore, but that's still in the 80s. That's still when there was like a kind of like street scene, you know?
What was some of the craziest shows you've ever been to?
Some of the craziest shows I've ever been to. I remember one show in particular that was like ridiculous. Was again Carnivore, maybe Ludacris, and the Icemen, maybe. I know it was the Icemen and Carnivore. I don't know if Ludacris played, but that was insane. That was a fucking insane show, dude. That was like 86, maybe, I think. That was just the most insane moshing and stage diving I've ever seen in my life at CBGB's. That was a wild show. Another wild show, Agnostic Front at Studio 54. That was a wild show. I was roadieing for Vinny Stigma at the time. I also know that my singer Rich was in the audience throwing stage monitors around. He was on the other side of the fence. But that was a pretty crazy show.
Wasn't that the Palladium?
Did I say Studio 54? Yeah, that was the Palladium. I don't know where I spaced out. That was the Palladium. Crazy shows. I've seen a lot of crazy shows, dude. I don't know. I don't remember, honestly. There were so many shows that were so crazy, but that was like normal. Now, if any, You know what? I tell you, I saw a crazy show recently, which was Youth of Today. I saw them at Santos Party House. And you know what? I've never been a big Youth of Today fan, but I figured, yeah, they're playing New York. Fuck it, let me go see them, whatever. I'm into straight edge. Dude, they were, the second they started playing, you know, I'm surprised because they haven't played, they've been playing around recently, but they haven't played that much in years, you know, or anything. And man, they were, their audience went fucking nuts, dude. That was a crazy show. That was a crazy show. But I don't know. I can't think of anything besides that in the past specifically too crazy. No, come on. Live at Madison Square Garden. You know how many shows I saw at Madison Square Garden? A lot of shows. Nothing recently. But, Kiss at Madison... Are you recording now? Kiss at Madison Square Garden. Queen. Aerosmith. Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Yes, in the round for Tormato tour. I saw a lot of shows at the Garden. I haven't been there in a long time, though. I haven't seen a show at the Garden in a long time. I used to go to a lot of arena shows, but you know, now concerts is so much money. I can't afford to go to a show. And even if I could afford to it, who the fuck is going to pay, you know, $100 and something to go see a band? You know? That's crazy. You know, I tell you, the 2 arena shows I went to in the last couple of years, I saw Slipknot. And that was a good show. And I saw Metallica. And mind you, I'm not into this stuff. I mean, I'm into Slipknot. I like them. I don't listen to Metallica ever. But I used to be into them. And we figured, hey, you know what, they're playing. Fuck it, let me go. That was a good show. They had laser beams. They had all sorts of fog machines and lights. It was worth it, I think. Maybe not. I don't know. But I went. Whatever. But then again, I go see shows in the basement. You know what I mean? I go see shows at the Red Light District in Far Rockaway. You know? And I see dudes all the time. You know, from Australia and from fucking wherever, England or, you know, somewhere. And they're all playing this shitty little basement, you know? So I could say I've been to arena shows and I've been to basement shows. Whatever, man, you know? It's not like I make it a habit to go to arena shows.